do the introduction. Good to go.
Awesome. Hello and welcome everybody to the Friday Tech Talk at the Tech Academy. My name is Kenzie and we are joined today by Tech Academy graduate Linda Jean-Philippe, who now works as a Python developer at CapGemini. And she's going to be sharing with us maintaining mental health on the job hunt and sharing tips and tricks for dealing with nervousness, redeeming yourself after rejections, and controlling what you can during the process. And we're super grateful to have her here today. So thank you so much. And Linda, take it away.
Thanks, Kenzie. Hi, everyone. My name is Linda, and I graduated from the Tech Academy last year in 2020. And I started my job at CapGemini as a software engineer this year of January 2021. I'm so grateful to be here today and just share a little bit of my journey and some of the things I have learned along the way. First, I want to let you all know that I am not a mental health professional or a mental health expert. I have been on my own personal health and wellness journey over the past 5 years, so everything I'm sharing with you is just from my experience. I narrowed down my job hunt in 3 stages. Stage 1 is networking. I have learned so much from job placement, and I really like that they encourage students to apply to any and every tech position, regardless of the years of experience that is required. This is the first and last step when it comes to graduating the bootcamp and then entering the tech field. My first conversation with the job placement director, his name is Forrest, was an honest conversation. I told him, I am so nervous and I've never networked before. All of this is so new to me. He said, networking is a conversation. You can do it. I viewed my nervousness as excitement and used that energy to really get to know other tech professionals, and I learned a lot from them. By joining conferences and meetups and a virtual career fair, I was able to practice talking about myself, what I have done, and what I have been doing. This helped me gain confidence. I applied to 150 jobs and received no response or back-to-back rejection emails. Mentally, I felt like I was going insane because I was doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Remember that job rejections are part of the process and the rejections are just normal. I had to be mindful of my thoughts, and because of the self-doubts that would appear, I had a little bit of negative feelings towards myself. I would ask recruiters, what can I do better next time when I reapply? And then for the automated rejections, I was very consistent in asking myself questions and self-analyzing, what else can I do? What else can I control? Stage 2 is training. I added 2 certifications to my resume. This action really helped increase the responses of my resume on LinkedIn. I took the AWS test on a Sunday, and then the next day, 11 recruiters called me. Every day, I had so many messages, so many emails, and so many calls. Certifications are good because it shows that you have a baseline understanding and competency to build upon. I found a YouTuber who also says that certifications are training for you and validation for the company. I also want to say that not all certifications are valued the same way. I have learned that some certifications are more prestigious and expensive than others. So it really depends on the company. Taking tests is very stressful to me, but a little bit of test anxiety is normal. The most impactful thing I did during my test preparation was working out right before I had to study and right before I had to take the test. When I started my mental health journey 5 years ago, I underestimated how much of my mental health was interconnected with my physical health. During my test preparation, exercising provided me better clarity and better concentration. I won't bore you with a bunch of neuroscience, but creating a habit of some form of exercise has helped me feel better during times of stress. Stage 3 is persistence. Be specific about the role you want and focus on a project or subject you really want to do. I titled my resume as a Python developer. I decided to learn a new framework, so I chose to learn how to build an e-commerce application with React and Node. 3 recruiters reached out to me and asked about my active project, and they wanted to keep in touch in the future, but no interview occurred. There is a learning curve when you are building something on your own. I ran into so many bugs, but with patience and persistence and research, I figured out and I made some progress. I did not follow these stages in order as I reflect back on my job search. From graduation to my first interview, it took 3 months. That's not bad, but in the moment, it felt like forever. I didn't know how long it would take for me to get my first interview, and everything I was doing to maintain my mental health took a lot of effort. I'm glad that things happened the way they did because it was not in vain. Within the first week of December, 2 recruiters reached out to me from 2 different companies on the same day. They both said they wanted to set up an interview because I would be a great fit. One of the recruiters asked for 2 references, and she'll share my profile with her hiring manager. I thought that was a good sign and assumed I would have a second interview lined up just in case. 2 weeks later, my first interview with CapGemini was set at 1 p.m. As I'm preparing for my interview with CapGemini, I get a phone call at 12:03 from the recruiter. And basically she said the hiring manager said I looked like a promising candidate, but chose to go with a candidate who had 3 years of experience. I was shocked because I didn't expect to hear that. Long story short, I went through all 5 stages of grief in a span of 20 minutes. Even though I felt blindsided, it was necessary to sit with all of those strong emotions, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. I could not go into my interview with a frazzled mindset. I knew I had to pull myself together, believe in myself, and do what I can, which is the best I can. So to maintain my mental health on the job hunt, I learned that I had to be mindful of my words and my thoughts, recognize what I can control, understand how my mental health is affected by my physical health, focus on making progress and not perfection, and know how to leverage my time, money, and effort very wisely. And that's the end. Thank you.
Really good
Thank you,
story,
Linda.
Oh.
Go ahead, Kenzie.
Oh, I just was going to say thank you. And if anyone had any particular questions, did you want to open up the floor for questions now? Or did you want to speak more about any of those specific topics?
Yeah, I'll accept questions now.
Ricardo Lopez asks, how did you know what certifications to get?
Thanks to the meetup groups that I went to, I met with one of the cybersecurity professionals. I spoke to him about certifications and which ones I should pursue. And I just really wanted to know what his expertise was. And he recommended that the AWS Cloud Practitioner was a really good one. And I did research on it. I thought it was, very affordable. It's like $100. And there was like free training on the AWS training website. So I just kept my head down and really studied the content and took the test. And then the first certification that I was able to get was the Lean Six Sigma certification, and it was a yellow belt. And I just happened to know about it because I joined a group for tech professionals, and they said that they were offering it to members who were part of that group. So I thought that was a great opportunity to just learn about it.
And Ricardo says thank you. And then Eldred asked, what kind of volunteer work, if any, did you do during your job search?
Well, I'll say that that same group, that tech group that I joined, I was interactive, I guess, when I volunteered. Like after I'd been a member, I shared job postings. The moment I start receiving job postings from recruiters, I would share within that group that they were looking for, a Python developer or a project manager, things like that. And it actually was kind of like an initiative on their Slack channel. So they just let other recruiters know about this group, and they just share in the Slack channel about the different positions they have.
I'm curious, what are you doing in your current job? Like, what kind of technologies and programming languages do you do, and what does your current work look like?
Okay, so when I started with CapGemini, we all were under the data engineer track. So there was a bunch of trainings that we had to do within an internal learning platform called Next, and it was very rigorous because it wasn't something you can just sit and do overnight. So it was very self-paced, and we basically learned a lot of big data technologies, how to use Hadoop and Apache Scala, and we learned a ton of that stuff. And I think that within the company, I don't know how much I can share because I signed an NDA, but within the company with different projects that happens, they basically offer who wants to be a part of this project, who wants to be a part of that project. And then we got to shadow between someone who's more senior than us and see how the job is done. And we're part of the meetings, conferences and things like that. So we kind of learn as we go. And then we continue our training on our own when we're not in meetings.
Cool. Linda, can you go into detail about what the interview process was like? Just all the steps you had to go through, and just how it all went for you.
The interview process was, I would say it was average. There was 2 rounds. There was a technical round, and then there was a behavioral round. I believe it was the senior software engineer. He's the one who interviewed me for the technical round. And he just told me about my projects that I worked on, what challenges I faced while I was on there, things like that. A lot of the questions he asked actually came from the coding of cracking the coding interviews. So I already prepared for that, and it came in handy. And then the behavioral round was the next day, and they asked, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And, what do you do when you are faced with a challenge at work? And, kind of your standard questions. But I think the interview process was it was a good average way to go through.
Cool. And did they do the interview process online, or did you fly down there?
It was online. It was all virtual online, and that was it for both. The second interview I had with them, it was with a different person. It was the director of the department.
And did you find any challenges with doing the interviews at home?
Definitely, because I have a dog, and sometimes she's loud. So that was kind of a challenge. I know she knows how to open the door, so it doesn't even matter if I close it. But I think everything went well, and that's just kind of the little challenges of just working from home. It's not too bad.
Dominic asked in the chat, how prepared did you feel after being hired and actually being on the job?
I felt somewhat prepared because of the things I understood just from the AWS cloud certification that I had, and I knew that it's still, the things I've learned from that was still aligned with data engineering and the track that they're showing all of us to go through. So the things I've learned during that time actually helped me understand other concepts in a deeper way as I was going through it and doing like the hands-on virtual labs and stuff like that.
Linda, did they assign you a partner when you came on board? So were you mentored with someone?
Yes, I had a buddy that, you know, I could just always ask a bunch of questions to. And we also had a supervisor over our cohort. So we're part of like the NGT program, which is Next Generation Talent. And we're basically like, because it's a big company, they call us freshers. And we're all new to the industry. So it's a fresher program, and they are like people that we might meet with every 2 weeks or so. So they really help us by asking, like, you know, the questions, knowing about internal projects that's going on, and anytime like we're confused or we're not sure of what's next or what we should do, they always like spend the time during their like busy schedules to like set aside and tell us what we need to do. And then I also had like a very engaging manager. We each have our own managers, so they also interact with us like on a monthly basis. And it's really good that they do that because everyone is so busy in such a big company. But I really appreciate that I can reach out to him.
Cool. Good help for the rookies.
Well, yeah, lots of.
And then, oh, sorry. Ricardo asked how the work-life balance is.
I think my work-life balance is really good. I simply like I start my day early, so I don't turn on my laptop until like I have to, like the standard hours are your 9 to 5. But I start a little early, and I make sure that each day I have like a purpose of something that I'm trying to do and a goal, and that way I make sure I'm like making progress along the way, and I add to my knowledge and my notes and things like that.
Sorry, I heard a fuzzy mic for a second. I'm curious what some of your like favorite things about working remotely are, and then some of your least favorite things about working remotely.
My favorite thing, I guess, it's just knowing that, you know, everyone kind of has their own lives going on. So sometimes you hear like something crazy or something in the background, which is like comic relief, kind of. But usually it's not like, I don't know, like unpleasant. The least, I would say just maybe like sitting. I have to sit for a long time. Like when I'm really focused on something, I'm sitting for a very long time. And, you know, for your body, the longer you sit, your hamstrings are like getting tight, and then you have lower back pain and then all that stuff. So it's like frequent breaks are so important. You have to get up and you have to move and stretch and then get back to work.
So, Linda, you spoke of mindfulness and watching your thoughts through the process. What kind of resources did you use to learn, you know, the right way to watch your thoughts and have that mindfulness?
The way I've been doing it is basically reading books. Really, I've been reading, like, I don't know if I could like advertise, I don't know, but one of them is like by Dr. Carolyn Dweck, and it's the mindset of, like, you know, psychology of success. So far, I'm like halfway through that. It's a really good book. It shows like successes of many people who, like, you know, who basically didn't go far because they had a fixed mindset, and then people who had a growth mindset who understood that a failure and a rejection doesn't mean like it's the end for them. They found new ways, and they did the same thing of like analyzing how they could get better, and then had their own breakthroughs through their careers. And that applies to sports and a bunch of other examples that she added, like students. She's a really cool psychologist, and she shared a lot of her insights in that book. So I think that was really helpful, and I love it. Another book, I like reading a little bit of some philosophy books, and I guess it's kind of not, it's not religious, it's not a religious book, but like it's called Conversations with God, and that book definitely kind of brings an awareness. It brought an awareness to me, and like I've been reading like those books over the past like 3 or 4 years. So a lot of that helped me like slow down and understand, watching my thoughts and what I believe, and how I carry myself. So yeah, that's basically my mindful journey.
Did you say Carol Dweck?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to post a link to that book on Amazon in the chat box in case anyone is interested in checking that out.
Yeah.
We also have a question from Dominic, and he asked if you could go back and do one thing differently. Would you change anything? And if so, what and why?
If I could go back, I guess I would definitely follow like the stages that I did. I would have done like after the 2 weeks of like graduation and like seeing that I didn't get any responses, I would have thought, okay, let me research what certifications and stuff I should do. And then figure out which ones are like highly like valued, and done like the research of talking with those folks of like how important is this, and really calculated. And then probably my job search probably wouldn't have been as long as it was if I did like that. But everything happened for a reason. So that would be the one thing though. I would have like pursued the certifications definitely sooner.
Now, is it just the AWS certification that you have now?
The AWS Cloud Practitioner, and then Lean Six Sigma. Those were the first 2 I started with.
Gotcha. And when you said recruiters, after you got certified, you got a lot of responses from recruiters, and they came looking for you. Was that on LinkedIn, or where was that?
It was LinkedIn. A lot of them came from LinkedIn. I joined a lot of meetings that had HR people who shared like their insights, and they shared tips about how you can like improve chances of like your resume being looked at. And one of the things was like constantly updating your resume. And every time you make a change, even if you like add a little white space or a new period onto a sentence, it like refreshed it as if it's like a wholly new thing. So when recruiters went out to look for a candidate, the newest resumes would be at the top. So that was one thing that helped. Another is that LinkedIn used to have a feature where you could like see the breakdown of how many like views you would get per day. And they don't have that feature anymore because I like really try to search the site for it, but they still show like the total of views you get per week. And during that time, I was able to see with every new updated resume that I added onto LinkedIn, I could see if the views went up or down. So I don't know, that was like my metric system of figuring out if I'm improving and getting better. And I think that helped a ton, because if I knew that I received more views on a newly edited resume that I did, I wouldn't do a whole lot of changes to it. But if it was like a -2 or down 1, or not a whole lot of interaction, I would know that like I have to like do a whole change of my resume.
Yeah, true data coder.
Yeah, it definitely falls in line with data analytics, ironically.
And no, that's good tips for LinkedIn for just changing a little thing on your resume to get more views. Did you have a paid account?
No, I did not. So this is stuff you can still access and see, like on a free LinkedIn page.
Got it. All right. Anyone that has any questions can raise their hand, or if you want to ask in the chat box, you can definitely do that.
We've got one from David in the chat box. They ask, how did you cope with the uncertainty in the time between having your very first interview and finally getting a job offer?
Well, I definitely made sacrifices. So just like after the code camp, they say like you're supposed to like keep sending your resumes out and treat it as if like that's your full-time job. I chose to take it kind of like a step further, and I like sacrifice sleep. So I like start my days really early at like 4 a.m. and I didn't really use social media other than LinkedIn, and I didn't watch TV or movies or a whole lot of things. I didn't do anything. I literally did not do anything but focus on what I should do next. And then I balanced that with obviously the advice that I gave of just making sure I exercised in the morning. And I noticed that I was better focused and in the mornings, as like the very important things really helped. So that kind of balanced me out through the uncertainty. And I just had to work with it like week by week. I took it slow, I took it week by week, but I made a lot of sacrifices at the same time. Not saying you have to do it, but I chose to do that.
Did you think of getting any of the Azure certifications? I think did you work with that a bit at the Tech Academy? I think you probably did, right?
The Azure certifications, you said?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you use that in Live Project at all?
Yeah, I did. I remember that was in one of the assignments when we were building app, and I chose like to build a real estate app. The certifications that I was kind of researching for Azure, I wasn't sure at the time which one to really pursue. But now, like, because like of my job and one of the projects I'm engaged with, they do require Microsoft like AI and the data analytics and things like that. So I have my sights on it now, and I'm working on it currently, along with like Snowflake and another certification.
Yeah, there's a lot of cloud certifications out there, and it is good to get, definitely. Now, how long did you study before you took the test to get certified with AWS?
Not super long. I think the moment I scheduled the test, I was so determined to get it done as soon as possible. So I went through the training. The training says like, I think it's 6 hours on the free website. It says it's 6 hours, but it actually took like 3 days. And then I spent 4 days studying the content. And then on the 7th day was when I took the test. And I know like they recommend like you need like a month to study, and I didn't do that.
Yeah, you're pretty sharp, Linda.
Yeah. I had my eyes on the prize, so.
You knew what you wanted.
We have another question in the chat box from Ricardo. They said that you mentioned the Cracking the Coding interview book and asked if there were any other books that helped you along the way.
Not really. That's like, I treat that book like a Bible, honestly. And I haven't really looked into a whole lot of others that I am, I guess, seeking out. I know from YouTubers, they recommend like, you know, some websites and some other resources to like be a better programmer, things like that. But that's really the only book I have used.
And I just want to mention to folks out there looking for these books and resources that you can often find PDF copies of these books online if you search for the title of the book and then put PDF at the end. Just a little tip.
Yeah, and for our students, we do give a lot of resources in job placement as well.
David, did you want to ask a question over the microphone? Go for it.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I came in like pretty late. My apologies. Linda, thanks for joining us today. This is great. It's funny you talked about the certification because I like literally just passed a certification this morning that I've been like grinding on for the last like 2 weeks. Yeah, it turns out it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. But anyways, I guess that's what the studying pays off. I'm curious, like one thing I've thought about is if it's worth like reaching out or trying to hire, I guess, like some sort of like career coach or some mentorship role like that. Did you have anyone that you kind of partnered with who like was able to give you like mentor you or give you like one-on-one advice throughout your job search?
Yeah, when I was in the stage 1 of the networking, I was able to connect with a cybersecurity professional who's been in the industry for like 15 years. And I was able to like have a phone conversation with him and let him know that I just graduated, I have a programming background, and that like I was interested in, like, I was keeping my mind open to like anything that I can do. And he, you know, provided like the idea of like the Security Plus certification, and AWS would be really good if you're first starting out. I did my research behind Security Plus, and you know, at the time, I didn't think I was ready to take that one quite yet because it's like 90 questions in 90 minutes. So it's very intense, and then it was pretty expensive too at the time. I think it's like close to $400. So that's a lot of pressure for me at the time. And I thought it was like, it made sense to start with the AWS one. But he was really a good coach to have because like, since I'm early in my career, I am very like a generalist and trying to figure out what I like and what's really interesting to me. And I'm like in this dilemma of finding everything super interesting and getting into. So something I really like about my job is that I get to see how like the business of software and how it works, and you know how it helps other clients and what they're trying to do. And I think that having like him coaching me like on the other aspect of it, like the cybersecurity side, I think that's also fascinating. And I was able to reach with another professional who was in the industry for like 20 years, and he like provided his take too. So I think LinkedIn has been like super helpful in just talking to folks who were more senior and more experienced than me, because they're so willing to like impart their knowledge and tell you like what's best and what you should do. And like, they learned the long way, and so they helped me not have to take the long way in some regard. And so I think that's really the magic of being in tech, is like when you share your experiences, you help other people kind of like move towards their goals faster, rather than, you know, learn through trial and error for so long. So I think being in contact with him and the other mentor that I have has really like shaped my perspective and what I like, but I'm still a generalist. I don't know if I have like a specific career coach quite yet to know everything. I'm just kind of figuring it out on my own and where I want to go.
Cool, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm curious about the certification. So the $100 or the $400 that you have to pay, that's in order to take the test, correct?
Yes.
And do you have to pay that every time you take that test? So if you fail, do you have to repay if you want to take it again?
I think so. I haven't failed one, but I think you have to take it every time.
That would make it really nerve-wracking.
It would, yeah.
I'm also curious if you had any moments during the process where you felt like you wanted to give up or felt kind of hopeless, and what you did to kind of bridge the gap between that moment of intense emotion and getting to like the next step in your process, and if there were ever moments when you needed to kind of remove yourself from the process altogether, or if you just went headfirst into the whole thing. That was like 7 questions in one, sorry.
Yeah, I know, but it's a good one because it reminds me of a segment of my job search. So I think this is before like a week before the week of my interview. I recently received like a coding challenge from a different company, and I remember that I did my best on it, and data structures and algorithms were like something like I already understood, but I didn't like practice as much as I should. But so I like gave it my best shot, and it wasn't like the best solution, I should say, and I didn't hear anything back from them, and I felt so awful after. And I guess it wasn't guilt, but it was like crushing, crushed spirits is what I was holding in my heart, because I wasn't sure if that was like the only chance I had at trying to get into an interview. And I was so sad about it. I didn't even make an effort to apply to another job for like 2 days. And then I remember that I had to like process my feelings and kind of wake up out of it and say that I can't like stay like doom and gloom during this, because it's not going to work in my favor. So like I said, okay, well, I see that this is a weak area for me. I started like writing a plan on like how I'm going to strengthen my efforts in learning how to like solve them and like be better at it, and for data rhythms, data structures and algorithms. And that, I think while I was doing that, I had kind of like a little bit of an epiphany and a little bit of a reignited hope of just continuing on, because I created a plan for myself to get better at that. So that way, if another coding challenge or something was sent to me, I was ready. I didn't expect to see a challenge, but yeah, I was sent one.
There you go. How to keep a really good mindset with the job search.
I did. I was so sad. Like when I said I was surprised, and I was like, oh my goodness, this might be my only chance, and I blew it. I felt so bad. But I'm glad that I actually started like executing a plan of like how I'm going to get better, and I actually was like making progress and was doing the work. And yeah, then the following week, those were the times where the 2 recruiters came up, and I was ready.
Well, I think that's kind of a key, is when you have the coding challenges or the interviews and maybe it doesn't go so well, take what you learn from it and then really work on improving that.
Yeah, definitely.
When you received rejections, were you able to get feedback about why you got those rejections and incorporate that, or was it kind of a big question mark?
I did receive feedback from some, the ones that emailed me and they like had like personalized like messages and things. I responded, and like they would say like this company is looking for like this, and this, but really what they care about is the experience part. So I said, okay, I'll keep that in mind. And I still have them on my list to like, okay, I'll reply again. and give it another shot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great success story, Linda. We are really happy for you, and we are definitely glad you came out today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that I was able to share a little bit of like my journey. I know I'm like really early in my career, so me being with the company I have been with, I can't believe it's already June because I started in January. I'm very grateful, and I'm always learning, and I understand the like goodness of just always growing and bettering yourself, especially when you're in tech. So
yeah, it's a great attitude.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, Linda, super inspiring. Thanks so much for being here. I think that this is really helpful for a lot of people, even though you're early in your career. That's where a lot of us are looking to get. And so it's all very fresh in your mind. We hear from a lot of people that have also been in the careers for a while. And I think sometimes they don't remember the intensity of the emotions and the process to get there. And it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and then there's other factors you can't control, like life and terrible things happening. So,
and good on you for going full steam ahead during the job search process after doing the whole boot camp.
Yeah, it was definitely a big deal to do all of that. Yeah, I'm glad I did it, and so thankful for Tech Academy and Forrest. He's awesome, and I'm so appreciative of all of you. So thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, Linda, thanks for coming out. And is there anyone that has any last questions before we wrap it up? No?
I'm just seeing lots of thank yous. Oh, Dominic, you want to ask a question?
So, thank you. I want to say your experience was very encouraging. I did want to ask one question. If you could speak to yourself then from where you are now, what is something that you would tell yourself to keep yourself motivated?
I would say that I'll probably tell myself a quote, and I have it right here. Where I am is a result of where I was, but where I go depends entirely on who I choose to be starting today. So I would probably tell myself that quote.
Thank you.
I love that. That's great. Well, if there's no other questions, I do want to just thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much, Linda. That was really wonderful. And I do want to remind y'all about next week. We have Michael McCormack coming back. And he was here with us in February, and he's going to be talking about networking and communication. He's a recruiter at EdgeLink and gave an amazing talk last time. So definitely tune in next week. Reach out to me if y'all have any questions or concerns. I'll put my email in the chat. And if you need me to relay anything to Linda, I'm happy to do that as well. Linda, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what's next for you and how this unfolds for you.
Yeah, definitely. Feel free to send a request on LinkedIn or anything like that. And if you have any other questions, just send me a message and I'll be happy to answer. Oh, hi, Forrest.
Hey, Linda. Just wanted to come and say hi. Sorry I missed the most of the talk, but I'm going to watch it in the afterwards.
I gave you a shout out.
Whoa. Yay.
Give you a couple shout outs, Forrest.
Sorry I missed them.
All right. No, that was really good perspectives, Linda, on what it's like to start out, and we do appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much. I'll try to share my LinkedIn in the chat before I go. Oh, yeah, you guys have it already.
Yeah, go ahead and throw it in.
I've got it here. Oh, you've got it already. Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. Reach out in the meantime if you need anything. And study up.
All right. Thanks, Linda. Appreciate
Bye,
it.
Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Bye.
Thank you.